He lied to the women who trusted him. He deceived the children who once looked up to him. And when his own son uncovered the truth, Kody Brown silenced him with intimidation. But in this courtroom, lies collapse and the Brown dynasty burns from within. This is no longer the glossy stage of reality TV. This is war. And the battlefield is the courtroom. All rise! The command cracked like a gunshot. Cameras flashed. Reporters leaned forward, pens scratching furiously. The double doors swung open, and in strode Kody Brown, face pale, hair slicked back, flanked by two lawyers in dark suits. But gone was the cocky patriarch America once saw on television. This was no husband, no father. This was a man on trial, accused not just of fraud, but of betraying the very women who once called him husband. Christine, Janelle, Mary. They sat in the front row, stone-faced, eyes hard as granite. Between them, a thick brown folder stamped confidential in bold red. Inside, proof that could shatter Kody's carefully constructed kingdom. Judge Harmon slammed the gavel. This court is now in session. Case number 221, Christine, Janelle, and Mary Brown versus Kody Brown. Gasps rippled through the room. Cameras caught every twitch, every glance. This was no divorce hearing. This was an indictment. The charges? Financial deceit, fraud, concealment of marital assets worth over $2 million. Kody clenched his teeth, his eyes darting nervously to that damning folder. Opening statements, the judge ordered. Christine stood. At first, her voice trembled, but then it sharpened into steel. Your Honor, for years we lived like a family. We built homes. We raised children. We shared finances. And while we trusted, he betrayed. Kody built walls, not of wood or stone, but of secrets and stolen money. Today we bring the proof. Bank transfers, forged signatures, hidden accounts, and one witness who risked everything to expose it. Kody scoffed. His lawyer, Mr. Powell, rose swiftly. This is nothing more than a smear campaign orchestrated by 3 bitter ex-wives. There is no proof, no paper trail, only hurt feelings and failed marriages. But Judge Harmon leaned forward. Miss Brown, do you have this evidence with you? Christine nodded. She reached for the folder. Mary grabbed her wrist. Are you sure? She whispered. Christine's reply was barely audible. It's time. She passed the folder to the clerk. Inside, bank transfers to a mysterious trust. A signed check using Mary's forged signature. A property deed signed over to Robyn. And a flash drive marked, Daniel's backup, do not erase. The courtroom froze. Who is Daniel? The judge asked. Janelle's voice cut through the silence. Daniel is Kody's son. He discovered the discrepancies while helping Robyn with her taxes. He was supposed to testify today, but he's gone. The room erupted in gasps. Gone? The judge pressed. Christine's voice shook. He vanished 2 nights ago. Left a voicemail. If anything happens to me, check the flash drive. Then nothing. Powell leapt to his feet. Hearsay, Your Honor. Sustained, the judge barked. But the flash drive will be reviewed. Court recessed for 1 hour as technicians examined the device. Kody turned to Christine, fury burning in his eyes. You're insane. You're destroying this family. Mary leaned forward, her whisper slicing like a blade. No, Kody, you destroyed it the day you laundered our money through Robyn's business. The courtroom buzzed with whispers. Outside, the media went wild. The Brown bombshell. Headlines screamed, Kody Brown sued for fraud, $1 million betrayal exposed. When court reconvened, the technician testified. The flash drive contains emails between Mr. Brown and multiple banks. A spreadsheet labeled Diversion Plan C, Family Funds, and encrypted payments to Cayman Island accounts totaling $2 million. Gasps. Reporters nearly toppled over themselves sending updates. Kody shot up. I want to testify. His lawyer hissed, Don't! But the judge permitted it. Mr. Brown, you understand anything you say can be used against you? I do. His fist clenched, his face twisted. This family turned on me the moment things got tough. I did what I had to do to survive. I protected what I built. The doors burst open. All heads turned. A man staggered in, clothes torn, forehead bruised, clutching a battered phone. Christine gasped. Daniel. The missing son had returned. His voice was hoarse but steady. And I have the rest of the story. The courtroom thundered with whispers. Social media exploded. The Brown trial was no longer just about fraud. It had become a war for truth, family, and survival. And Kody Brown's darkest secrets, We're only beginning to unravel. Secrets. We're only beginning to unravel. The courtroom dimmed. A new piece of evidence appeared on the screen. Grainy, flickering, but unmistakable. This, the prosecutor announced, comes from a nanny cam Robyn Brown installed in 2017. What she didn't know was that the cloud storage was still running. The footage rolled. Kody Brown, caught in his own office, voice sharp, urgent, and guilty. We have to move fast. If Christine or Janelle find out, it's over. Pull the money. Take the LLC route. Daniel can help keep it quiet. And Robyn, if it ever comes to that, you play dumb. On the recording, Robyn's weary sigh could be heard. Okay, but this is risky. The courtroom erupted. Gasps, shouts, cameras clicking like machine guns. Robyn buried her face in her hands. Kody's face drained white. Powell scrambled to object, but Judge Harmon's voice cut through like a blade. Overruled. This evidence is admissible. Christine shot to her feet, fire in her voice. Your Honor, I am moving to amend our filing. We now request a full criminal investigation into fraud, money laundering, and the coercive abuse of marital assets. The judge studied her, then nodded slowly. Taken under advisement. The prosecution wasn't done. They produced another weapon, a property deed. Coyote Pass, a parcel once listed under all 4 wives. Now in black and white, signed solely to Robyn, using Mary's forged signature. Janelle's voice cracked with fury. That's not just betrayal. That's theft. The gallery exploded. Reporters sprinted from the room to break headlines. Kody Brown accused of theft. Fraud charges mount. Kody sat frozen, sweat dripping from his brow, his hand trembling against the table. Christine leaned to her lawyer, murmured something, then passed a folded paper to the bailiff. He carried it to Judge Harmon. It's from Daniel, Christine whispered. The judge read in silence. His expression hardened. Very well. Court adjourned until tomorrow morning. Bailiff, place Daniel Brown under protective custody. The courtroom buzzed like a beehive. But outside the chamber, cameras caught a chilling image. A figure in a black hoodie, lurking in the hallway, watching as Daniel was escorted by security. Millions watching online saw it too. The question echoed everywhere. Who was stalking Daniel, and why? The drama was far from over. When court resumed, the atmosphere was heavier than iron. Christine, Janelle, and Mary sat like battle-hardened generals, eyes fixed on the man who betrayed them. Kody's lawyers shuffled frantically through notes, their confidence unraveling. The gavel slammed. Defense, Judge Harmon barked. Are you ready with your rebuttal? Powell rose, adjusting his jacket, trying to look calm. Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls its first witness, Robyn Brown. The name alone set off murmurs. Some hissed. Others scoffed. Robyn stood, dressed in pale cream, her face carefully arranged in neutrality. But her eyes flicked nervously toward Kody before she took the stand. Please state your name. Robyn Alice Brown, she said firmly. Powell softened his tone, his voice almost theatrical. Mrs. Brown, were you aware of any financial impropriety in your family before this trial? Robyn hesitated. Not in the way it's being presented, she said, voice restrained, feigning confusion. Powell pressed on. Did you personally participate in offshore accounts, money laundering, or deliberate deception of your sister wives? Robyn's eyes welled, her voice cracked. No, I never meant to deceive anyone. Kody told me these financial decisions were necessary to protect us when times were hard. The courtroom held its breath. Was Robyn covering for him or preparing to bury him? Powell leaned closer. Did you ever receive money directly from RB Creative Trust? Or K. Brown Asset Holdings? A long pause. Then softly. Yes, but Kody said it was reimbursement. Legal fees? Security? Groans rippled across the room. Christine and Janelle exchanged burning glances of outrage. Powell smirked and pulled out a printed email chain. Kody to a consultant, Robyn CC'd. The subject, redistribution of assets to sustain loyalty throughout household levels. Reporters nearly tripped over themselves tweeting the phrase, sustain loyalty. It wasn't protection. It was control. What does that mean, Mrs. Brown? Powell asked. Robyn fidgeted, her voice shrinking. It meant making sure everyone stayed taken care of. But the truth was clear. It meant ruling the wives with money. The cross-examination was brutal. Did you ever sign documents in the names of the other wives? Robyn's reply was barely a whisper. Only, what Kody told me was already decided. Christine shot up, fury boiling over. That's a lie. You signed Mary's name on the Coyote Pass deed. The courtroom exploded. Judge Harmon slammed his gavel, shouting for order as Christine's words rang like thunder. A recess was called. When proceedings resumed, the defense rolled out a new witness, Gregory Wells, financial consultant. Slick hair, calm monotone, he testified that Kody had simply been optimizing assets, calling it standard financial practice for complex domestic partnerships. But under cross-examination, the illusion shattered. The prosecutor slid forward one damning clause, buried in the RB Creative Trust documents. A clause that explicitly excluded Christine, Janelle, and Mary from all profits and land equity. The color drained from Wells's face. He stammered, I was not aware of that clause. The judge's voice was sharp. Clerk, mark this for evidentiary priority. The defense scrambled, desperate, and played its final card, an attack on Daniel himself. Your Honor, Powell declared. Daniel Brown's disappearance, his dramatic return, these so-called recordings, they are all theatrics. A ploy orchestrated by his mothers to smear Kody Brown. Daniel suffers from instability. He is easily manipulated. The words had barely left his mouth when Janelle shot up, her fury unstoppable. How dare you? She shouted, her voice breaking as tears streamed down her face. That boy is braver than you'll ever be. The gallery erupted. And once again, the gavel thundered, straining to contain the storm. And the gavel thundered, straining to contain the storm. The courtroom was already bursting at the seams. Cameras, journalists, protesters outside chanting justice for the sister wives. The world was watching, and then Kody Brown's desperate video plea played for the court, his eyes hollow, his voice cracking as he begged. To my children, to my wives, to everyone who thinks they know us. This was never betrayal. This was survival. For a heartbeat, the courtroom went silent. Even a few tears fell. But then, Mary stood, arms crossed, her voice slicing through Kody's plea like a blade. If survival looks like fraud and deception, then spare me your love. The silence shattered. And then, the moment that changed everything. The judge announced, tomorrow Daniel Brown will testify. The missing son? The ghost no one expected to return. The one who could burn Kody's empire to ashes? Or save him. The next morning, the courthouse overflowed with reporters. Hashtags trended worldwide. Daniel speaks. A Brown family lies. And when Daniel finally entered, limping slightly, a scar cutting across his cheek, the entire courtroom leaned forward as if history itself was about to speak. He raised his hand, swore his oath, and sat. His voice steady yet wounded. I was on my way to Christine's attorney, carrying the second flash drive, when a black SUV cut me off. Men with earpieces dragged me inside. They told me if I testified, I'd regret it. Gasps filled the chamber. And then, the bombshell. Daniel pulled out a notebook, his hands trembling only slightly. These are notes I took while helping Robyn with taxes. Offshore accounts. Strange transactions. Names that weren't ours. The gallery froze. And then the email. A letter titled, Reallocation Plan, Final Stage. Kody's voice, written in his own words, drain the wives. Move assets into a trust. Shut them out. Transfer everything under Robyn's name. Christine buried her face in her hands. Janelle's breath caught. Even Mary whispered, he planned this for years. But Daniel wasn't finished. From his pocket, he produced a small USB drive. The courtroom lights dimmed as a grainy video played. Kody's voice boomed from the speakers. We have 6 months to move the land under Robyn. Janelle's catching up. Christine's gone, Mary's too distracted. Shut down the LLC, keep Daniel silent. Cut him out if he resists. The courtroom erupted into chaos. Reporters shouting, cameras flashing, the judge slamming his gavel again and again until his voice thundered. One more outburst and I clear this room. And in that silence, Daniel's voice broke through like fire. Why, Dad? Why deceive everyone? Why betray us? Why me? Finally, Kody looked up. His eyes red. His voice venom and defeat. You don't understand the stress. The weight. The empire. Daniel snapped back. It wasn't supposed to be easy. But you didn't have to become the villain. You chose to. The judge, his tone like steel, ordered, Exhibit 47, enter it into record. But just as the court prepared to adjourn, Mary stood. Her hands held a sealed envelope. Your Honor, these are receipts. A private account. Opened in 2014, Kody deposited over $200,000 in appearance fees. Hidden for 10 years. Kody's head dropped back like a man struck. And then Robyn stood, her voice trembling. "Your Honor, I request legal separation from Kody Brown and immunity in exchange for my cooperation." The courtroom erupted. Christine hissed, "Too late, Robyn." But the judge cut through it all. "This is no longer civil. This court refers evidence to federal authorities, Mr. Kody Brown. You are now under investigation for fraud, asset concealment, witness intimidation, and possible conspiracy." The gavel came down, like a death knell, and outside the chants grew louder. Justice for the wives. Daniel is the truth. But inside, Kody's empire had just been set ablaze. The air was heavy, suffocating with tension. This was no longer about he said, she said. Today was about hard evidence. Paper trails, forged signatures, deeds stolen in the dead of night. The judge's gavel slammed down like thunder, shaking the courtroom. Session 5, he declared, is now in order. And the prosecution rose, eyes sharp, binder in hand. A single label marked across it in bold, Exhibit E5. "This is not opinion, Your Honor," the prosecutor announced. "These are facts. Verified documents. More than 60 pieces of evidence. Bank records, checks, emails, all signed betrayals." The first scan lit up the courtroom projector. A check. Dated April 16, 2021. Amount $47,600. Payable to R. Brown. The signature read, Mary Brown. But Mary shot to her feet, her voice cracking with fury. "That is not my signature. I never signed that check. That money was from our children's college fund." Gasps tore through the gallery. An overlay appeared on the screen. Mary's true signature, clean, consistent. And then the forged one. A clumsy imitation. The bank confirmed it, processed from an IP address inside Kody Brown's home office. And worse, the funds were deposited straight into an account managed solely by Robyn Brown. Robyn turned scarlet, burying her face in her hands. "Kody?" He sat motionless, a man watching his own funeral in real time. But the storm was just beginning. Next flashed across the screen, I did a chain of emails. One subject line, diversion strategy, spousal isolation. Kody's words, burned into black and white. Move funds quarterly. No red flags. Keep it under Janelle's nose. Christine is out. Mary doesn't read statements. If Robyn asks, tell her it's for taxes. I'll handle her. The judge froze, disbelief turning into rage. "He actually wrote this?" The prosecutor nodded. "Straight from Kody's Proton Mail account, verified." The silence was crushing. Christine's tears slipped quietly. Janelle glared daggers. Kody wouldn't lift his head. And then came the land. Coyote Pass, Lot 3. A deed signed jointly by all 4 wives back in 2016. But in 2021, a new deed appeared. Robyn listed as sole owner. Christine and Janelle's signatures forged. The forensic specialist testified. The file was edited at 2:43 a.m. from Kody Brown's home computer, just 2 days before it was filed. Christine erupted, her voice breaking. "He stole our land. Lied to our faces. While we thought we were building a future, he was stealing it right out of our hands." But the prosecution wasn't finished. They revealed yet another betrayal. A secret post-nuptial agreement, signed only by Kody and Robyn. It gave Robyn controlling interest in the family trust, Coyote Pass investments, even book royalties. The wives? Never told. Mary's signature had been copied from an old medical form and digitally pasted onto the document. The judge's face darkened, his voice like a blade. "Mr. Brown, do you comprehend? This is not error. This is deliberate sabotage." Powell, Kody's lawyer, stammered. "Your Honor, the defense has not had time." But Janelle cut him cold. "We had years. While we raised his children, he was writing himself checks and calling it leadership." And then, the final blow. Daniel, silent in the front row, handed the bailiff a small folder. The judge opened it, and the color drained from his face. 3 deposit slips, 1 internal email. Kody Brown to accountant Martin Kelzer. The order? Convert family earnings into cryptocurrency. Store them in a cold wallet. Hide the keys in drawer 2 under tax forms. Christine gasped. That's our old file cabinet." He really did it. The judge's patience snapped. "Mr. Brown, this court now freezes all Brown-related accounts. Effective immediately." Robyn collapsed in tears. "I didn't know it was this bad." But Christine spat fire back. "You always knew. You just loved the throne too much to care who was bleeding for it. And Mary, quiet until now, rose tall. He used our love like currency, and now he wishes to declare bankruptcy on his soul. The gavel slammed down, shaking the wood. This is no longer civil. The FBI has been notified. Session 6 will include federal review. Mr. Brown, you stand at the edge of fraud, racketeering, and prison. Outside, helicopters thundered. Protesters screamed. Inside, the Brown Empire, built on vows, lies, and TV contracts, collapsed under forged checks, stolen deeds, and secret crypto wallets. But the day wasn't done. As the room buzzed, the prosecution rose once more. Your Honor, today the people call to the stand. Miss Emily Harper. Daniel's face went white. His voice cracked in disbelief. No way. Because Emily Harper was his former girlfriend, the woman he hadn't seen in 2 years. And now she walked into the courtroom. Black blazer, spiral notebook in hand. The crowd froze. Christine's jaw tightened. Mary raised her brow. Janelle, stunned. Because this was the witness no one expected. The woman who might hold the final key. The woman who might hold the final key. The gavel came down, but this wasn't just the end of the session. It was the death rattle of an empire. Outside, helicopters swarmed, cameras flashed, and the streets erupted with chants. Free Daniel! Clashing against Arrest Kody Now. The Brown name, once paraded as unity and faith, now dragged through the mud of forged checks, stolen land, and hidden crypto vaults. But inside the courtroom, something darker lingered. Everyone could feel it, like a storm gathering just beyond the horizon. Because Session 6 would not be about paper trails or forged signatures. No, it would be about a voice. The prosecutor rose, steady, deliberate. His words carved through the silence. Your Honor, the people called to the stand Emily Harper. The name hit like a gunshot. Confusion rippled until Daniel's face went pale. He whispered, barely audible, No way. And then she appeared. Emily Harper, Daniel's former love, the one person no one expected, walking into the courtroom, clutching a spiral notebook and a phone, carrying secrets that could reduce Kody Brown's empire to ashes. The gallery froze. The wives held their breath. Kody stared like he'd seen a ghost, because everyone knew what came next would not just expose lies, it could end in indictments. And as Emily took the stand, the screen faded to black. To be continued.